talk about is the specific Vipassana technique that you learn, which is what it's all about. You're there to learn this technique very specifically, train your mind so that you can realize all the benefits and more than that. But so the first, and also let me just say that me explaining any of this, this whole video, it's just to kind of give either people who have done it to understand, or people who are curious, maybe like a little preview, or, you know, you cannot understand truly what this is unless you experience it. So it's all about practice and experience. I didn't know what to expect, and I'm so excited about it because it was so amazing, so hard, but so rewarding, that I feel like I understand life so much more, and I want to turn other people onto it. But I also know that, like, because I experienced it, I know there's just this thing that you can't understand unless you do this yourself. So it's a practical knowledge, like experiential thing. It's not something that you can read or understand through words, because it doesn't really have anything to do with like words and attaching things to what we create. So I've read a lot of spiritual books or books about meditation. I've practiced lots of different yoga and this and that. It's totally different. It's like you have to experience it by practice. So, but the technique, and they talk you through this every day. The first 3 days you practice just what is called Anapana meditation. And that is just narrowing your focus to this triangular area, your lip and above, and your nostrils here. So a very small area, and you're just observing, sitting there observing your breath as it's coming in and going out. So it's not trying to manipulate the breath. So in yoga, there is, you know, different breathing techniques, but it's not like trying to change your breath. You know, a lot of meditation or yoga, you're trying to deepen the breath, like, and like taking in breaths of 5 seconds and making them 5 seconds out or longer, because, you know, they think like the more oxygen you can get into your body, the calmer. This is not that. This is just observing your breath as it is. So if you start out Anapana and your breath coming in is like you're tense, just observe. And, you know, realistically it will, as you observe the breath and get more in touch and tune your mind into that, it will start getting calmer. But what you'll notice, I mean, it's not easy to do, because what you're doing is you're constantly training your mind. No, stop doing that, or focusing on that, and go ahead and focus on this. Like, this is what I feel. And at first you can't feel as much sensation as you would like, because if you could feel it really strongly, it'd be easy to concentrate on it. But there is sensation there. You just aren't always aware or focusing on it. So the more you do it for 3 days without any other distractions, you really start to tune in, and you'll notice like little sensations of the hairs when the air comes in and out. You'll notice like temperature, when the air comes in, it's a bit colder, and then your body goes in and out and it's warmer. So you really start training your mind, like, we're going to focus on what I am training to focus on. And then it'll still go through all these thoughts, and you'll notice like the more thoughts come up, especially like stressful thoughts or sad thoughts or happy thoughts, even just anything like powerful like that that can take you away, it's really difficult to concentrate on those sensations. So you're bringing your mind back, and you're bringing your mind back, and you're bringing your mind back. And if you do find your mind wandering, the other idea is like, don't get frustrated about it, because the more you're like pissed off at yourself for like, why am I thinking about that still, the more that you will think about it, and it's not going to help to concentrate. So ideally, kind of the analogy is like, let those thoughts play like a radio in the background. Like, don't resist them, but don't give them your attention. So yeah, it's just the first 3 days is anapana, so constantly concentrating on that. And if you keep losing the sensation, or if you need to kind of tap into that, they say you can take a few deep breaths just to kind of get yourself there. But the idea is not to like manipulate the breath. You're just observing it as it is in this moment. So you're already getting yourself acquainted with the idea of like not changing who you are or what you feel, but like observing it in this moment as it is, which is why I say it's not anything but science that we're working with here, people. So you don't have to be afraid. And then, yeah, so after the 3rd day, you start doing real Vipassana meditation, which is then once you've tuned into that breath right here, you start actually training your mind to scan your body head to feet, feet to head, head to feet, feet to head. And first you're going to just go like bit by bit. So I would like start up here and like slowly scan down my face, my eyebrows, like every little piece. And you want to feel the sensation on the outside of your body. And then you'll just go all the way down and scan back up, and there will be areas of blank sensation, and you want to just kind of linger there for a moment, see if you can feel something, and if it's not, just like keep going. And the more and more that you do that, which is what we're doing for the rest of the 7 days, at first you don't feel a lot. And I mean, you can close your eyes right now and you can feel your pinky toe or your leg, or your hands are really easy to feel sensation in your palms or your soles of your feet. So your mind like knows what it feels like to feel the aliveness in your body. It's just certain areas are blanked out. You just haven't been feeling that and training yourself to feel that. But the more and more you do Vipassana, the more you're just observing sensation in your body. And the other thing is, as you're doing that and scanning, you'll notice that as your mind starts wandering and bringing up stuff again, it gets harder and harder to like stay focused on that. You want to focus on this problem or that problem. And the idea the idea is that you just bring it back and let that radio play in the background, but like just bring it back. Don't get frustrated with yourself. And if you lose it completely, where you just can't bring it back because the thoughts are there, then you do Anapana meditation again. So just focusing on this sensation here, just the breath as it comes in and out. And you can take a few like deep breaths if you need to restore some balance, because sometimes you are uncovering pretty deep stuff and you get anxiety from sitting there, like you're getting through it, but you're bringing it up. And so this is the other thing, you can't understand this without experiencing it, but I'm just going through what it is. But the whole deal is that there's these things that we in life are constantly kind of not doing what we're doing and not observing sensation in this moment. We're just going through our lives and we're getting hurting people or being hurt or getting in car accidents or like being stressed out at work, whatever it is, we're like attaching to that. And it can be a good thing too. We are like falling in love and being really happy or having friendships or buying new clothes, but we're not always present, and we're sort of oftentimes like not realizing as those things happen and we have emotions and we have thoughts and everything, we're like not staying connected to like how do I feel in this moment. So throughout life we're like constantly tying these knots and kind of confusing ourselves really from what this moment is and our sensations. So we're sort of burying like deeper things, and they're called sankharas. And so I won't go too much into that, but basically as you're doing this technique and your thoughts are playing because you're trying to train your mind, it's uncovering a lot of those sankharas and untying the knots. And the idea is that as you go through and do this and those things come up and come up and come up, you know, it's hard to stay with the sensation because you'll experience pain or uncomfortableness or itching, or for every person it's completely different. So I don't want to put in your head like what you will experience, but I can say that, you know, I've didn't always have this problem, and I've always had different levels of it, but I've had a lot of anxiety lately in the last couple years, and a lot of pain, physical pain and tension like in my neck and shoulders, and just like really bad. I mean, sometimes like I would be so affected by it. And so, I mean, going into this, I was pretty nervous about, and I didn't even know I was going to have to sit there like for like, I thought I could do it on my own, but the group sits, I mean, I like had to face this pain that was intense as hell. And it's like you stay connected to that. So as these sankharas come up, it gets worse before it gets better. And the idea is that you're not generating any new attachments or aversions. So you're just scanning your body, staying with it, and observing the sensation in this moment. So if you have a lot of pain in your neck, you feel it and you just don't react. If you feel an itch on your elbow, then you just feel that as you're scanning and you don't react. So, you know, you start to understand that the law of nature is change, and all these sensations are just arising to like pass away. So as you don't react to them, I mean, you generate like this new quality of stillness. And I'm trying to speed through this to get to the next section, but I hope I'm sort of making sense, even though you have to experience it. But if like you experience this pleasure, I would experience pain too, the worst pain I've ever had. Like my leg felt like it was gonna fall off, or my neck, really, my shoulder. It was all tied into thoughts too, like, which I didn't realize at first, but the more you get into this, the more you realize, man, I think about the same shit over and over again. And like, it's hard not to be mad at yourself about it, but the more you train yourself, just like let it play, it'll come and go. But it is hard to stay with sensation, and you just have to keep doing the technique. You can schedule an interview with the teacher and she'll address any problem or concern you have. So you can always ask questions about it, and as simple as it seems, you will have questions because every person has things come up. And you know, so anyway, you get to this point where you just observe these sensations throughout your body, and you get more and more acquainted, and you realize sensation is everywhere on your body, even when you weren't feeling it before. There is a sensation here. We have nerves everywhere. So you get more in tune with that, and then you kind of feel vibrations, and you realize like this pain I'm feeling here, it's not really my pain, and it's not this solid thing that's there. It's just something that like I'm holding on to. And same thing with pleasure. Like I would experience really attached emotions or pleasurable things, and I realized like that's just the other side of the pain coin. So like pleasure and pain are both, like if you're really attached to everything, happiness, and you're like defining yourself through these things, you're just setting yourself up for pain later. So all sensation is here to arise and then pass away. And as you observe your breath and your sensation in this moment as it is, you're finding out on a scientific level who you truly are, and you're dealing with it. And like with these hour sits, you're not reacting to it, and you're sitting there, so you're nowhere to run to with these problems. Whereas in life, we're always running away from anything we feel. If we're impatient, we're like moving to deal with it. If we're waiting, like I do that all the time if I'm like at somewhere, you know, it's silly. But then it's like, if we're nervous, we can go eat something to like settle our stomach. And if we're bored, we turn on the TV and like don't think about our sensation. So this is just taking all of that out and putting yourself in a situation in which you realize like there's nowhere to go. I'm feeling this, it sucks, or it's good and it makes me not want to sit here because I'm happy or whatever. It's you're sitting there dealing with it, and you're realizing that like everything I feel, if I don't react to it, it eventually passes away. So like as I would go into like on a physical pain level, as I got more and more able to approach it even and face it, because at first I just was like resisting it because I was like, fuck, that hurts. But as you are able to sort of separate your mind and have stillness in the mind where you can just observe these things without attaching to them, you're able to like truly go up against that, and it all of a sudden starts to like break apart and dissipate. And it's kind of cool. It's like so weird because I didn't know that was possible. But you know, the idea also is like, don't get attached to like, oh, that feels good, I want to do that every time I sit down and meditate, because sometimes I would have like a breakthrough and feel better and realize like, okay, that was just me attaching to stuff for too long. And then I would want to sit down and my neck would hurt again, and I'd be like, all right, let's do this. And it's not like that. You can't have that expectation. You need to just focus on the technique the way it is, which is just observing things as they are. And, you know, I had this really distinct sensation, but the minute your mind starts trying to put it into words, which is what I'm doing right now, it's like you're taken out of it. But I can only explain and try to approach how I felt, but I had this distinct sensation as if my mind was like this wheel with gears, and here's all the pain or attachments or joy or whatever. And it's like you are normally, if you're in a car and you want to spin the wheels, it like a gear comes and attaches to it to like make this movement. But this was just like my mind coming in, instead of attaching in there, it was just like brushing up against the pain or the attachments and all these things. And as it would just, it was like, I am here, that isn't me. And it would just like touch these things, and they would just like go away, because I realized like, this is me, this is who I truly am, this is all created. I can touch that and observe it, but it goes away, and now I'm on to something else, and now I'm feeling this. So it was like, instead of locking in, you're just brushing up against it and realizing like your mind is so free and calm, and you are that, not all this other pain, all this other stuff that we attribute to I, me, mine. There is none of that. So if you do the technique and you keep returning back to it, that's the idea. And next I'm going to talk about just like some other realizations that I felt after practicing, or while I was practicing.